stagnant now, 6 to 6.5 interest rates, at least what I've been seeing. So we don't have that fluctuation of up and down. Like I think was it last year in October, we did have a quite a drop on the interest rate to like 5.5, I believe. And that didn't happen like 2025, right? We pretty much were like pretty much the same or not going up and down. And I think that's why people are saying like, well, if we don't know what direction the interest rates are going, then people are not buying. So there's no more of like that race that we saw in like in 2020, 2021, 2022 of like everything is selling off the market, everything is just flying off. Everybody's appreciating their assets. There's not more the real estate market anymore.
Well, plus I like to also add the big thing. The big thing for me was, or when you sent the links over for those videos, is the source. Okay, so it's Bigger Pockets, and Bigger Pockets for a long time was focusing on big rentals and stuff, and like they focus on exciting stuff that gets people drawn in. And I feel like in a lot of ways, for the average, although they are coming back around, but for a long time they were not focused on the beginner investors and stuff. And this is the market for the beginner investors. This isn't the type of market where you're going to go out and buy 100-plex, and it doesn't seem jazzy and stuff. So yeah, so for them, like your Grant Cardones and stuff, the market might be more dead. But for us, it's a great time to get into the market or buy that next rental, or to try and sit on the sidelines patiently and wait for your next ADU to be completed.
I'm gonna say it's dead, and that.
Okay, Dion.
No, well, I think if you're getting started today, it is very difficult. Like if you don't have properties and you haven't dipped your toes in the water type of thing, I think it's very challenging. Where rates are, where prices are, and trying to navigate all of that. So I think, and if you look at where your money is going to be best used, right? So if you can put it in stocks or even crypto or Bitcoin or whatnot, I mean, you're looking at the type of returns with less headaches, right? So I think for someone that hasn't done anything at all yet, and if they were looking at real estate today, they'd be like, yeah, this doesn't really make any sense to jump in now. But as Dion likes to talk about, right? Like if you're looking at it, what will probably give you the fastest timeline if your goal is to retire earlier, then because of the leverage and things like that and the cash flow, then real estate probably makes the most sense from a 10-year standpoint. But if you're talking still, I'm going to work my W-2 and I'm going to retire, or at 65 or 70, then possibly putting it in like the market or something's going to be a better return, right? If you absolutely haven't started anything at all right today. So that's where I'm coming from.
I'm gonna push.
Yeah, but don't you think? Yeah, but don't you think that would help like sharpen their skill set and finding better deals instead of in a weaker market where you can just buy anything and make it work? They actually can now notice what a truly good deal is versus a okay deal. So it kind of goes back to Frank's question that you've been talking about, Mark, on a lot of the lives. Would you rather have 4 okay deals, or maybe not home runs, but like 4 doubles?
Yeah, but the thing is, like I'm saying, if you haven't done anything, right, and even if you get a base hit, you're looking at it from like, I'm getting $200 return right now, right? Where in the stock market or even Bitcoin, I'm getting whatever 17% return or 20% returns, right? And you don't have the headaches of tenants, or now you have to become a landlord, right? So I'm looking at it from people that haven't done anything. I definitely see the attractiveness in investing it in something else right now, right? And we always talk about it, right? The 5 years of suck, and we're all going through these little things in real estate where it is kind of challenging. But for a lot of people, when they look at other asset classes, it just makes more sense from a hands-off standpoint, right?
I think to push back on that, if you haven't invested before and this is when you're starting 2026, then what your frame of reference is from before doesn't apply to you, right? Like what we had in 2020 and 2021, like the extreme low rates, This is not the baseline that you're going for. If you started investing in 2017 and 2016, you probably see the market as very like an arrogant market that doesn't want to work with you right now because of all the interest rates, because of like the deals that happened like during 2020, 2021, and because of the appreciation that you accumulated over those, you're a better position, right? Because you start investing earlier. But if you start investing right now, and then you're looking at your numbers right now, and in terms of comparison, Bitcoin and real estate, these are different two asset classes. I don't think they're comparable. Bitcoin, you can be 19% up one day, and you could be minus 50% the next day. It's not comparable, right? That's what I would say to that. But if you're starting from right now and your frame of reference is 2026 and the market conditions are as it is, I don't think you should be expecting the market to crush mortgage rates. You shouldn't be expecting crazy appreciation over the next 5 years. You should be looking at market indicators like conservative across, years, not like what we had in the last 5 years.
Just want to let everyone know I am a guest today on this live stream, so make sure you jump over to everyone else's channel. They are streaming, so Lynn, Jack, and Dylan are also streaming on their channels. So go subscribe there. So I am a guest and trying to navigate this restream stuff.
We're all attacking Mark today. I think I could push back a little bit on what Jack said and what you said, Mark. So with Jack's point of saying like that now is the time to start because it's going to sharpen your abilities, I actually think that if people are getting, and I'm not saying don't get started today, but I'm saying there are going to be more people that get started today that are not going to find anything, and they're going to drop out way faster than if this was a market where it was substantially easier to find something that just made sense. Think back to like 2018 investing in real estate, where I know at least in my town, you could buy a duplex for like 80 to 100 grand, and that same duplex now is 250 to 300. It just makes it substantially harder. I would push back though on the investment side of like which asset class makes the most sense. I always tell people start with real estate because you can get in with a lower amount of money, and especially if you're finding a good deal, something where you're getting 20% off or so. If you're putting 20% down, you're essentially getting a 100% return on your money year one, net, whatever the renovation costs are. Just say that's 50% more. So you're getting like a 50% return. Then you get your cash on cash return and depreciation and everything else factored in. And if you're going to be house hacking the first one, that's going to save on your cost of living. So there's a lot of things that can play in your favor. And I think we could spin it 100 different ways of what makes sense in your specific case. It's just going to depend on where everybody is financially, because you might be doing well enough to where adding being a landlord onto your plate is not something that you even want to consider, because you make enough money in whatever you do to just put it in stocks, put it in Bitcoin, or literally anything else that's not going to consume more of your time. So I can see a little bit from both sides.
So there is a lot of people commenting in the chat. I do see like Chris Webb, also saying, I would also look at the way you are investing. Bitcoin requires you buy, hold, and sell. Real estate allows someone to buy and earn a monthly stipend without selling. Yes, say that's true. However, it also is, as we've kind of determined like these past few years, it's also definitely the cash flow is not consistent, right, with rentals, and especially in the first 5 years. So I just feel like a lot of people, when they look at it, the returns aren't that great in the beginning. But if you're looking at it like Dion says, if you're looking at your goal is to be financially free in 10 years, it probably allows you the best opportunity because you can leverage things, right? And then you just get through that first 5 years, and it definitely has that hockey stick where, so it allows you to get to that point a lot quicker. But if your time horizon is like you're saying, I'm going to work 25, 30 years, I can see where the stocks and the Bitcoin is just something you just put aside. You don't have to deal with it and let it grow for the 25, 30 years, right?
I do think that, I don't know if real estate is the first asset you should be investing in, because real estate, it is the hardest asset, I would say, because it is so management. And even people say it's passive, yeah, it's passive somehow. if you set it up to be passive, right? Property manager and everything. But if you are actually investing and like managing and on, it's an active business. And if somebody that's starting out today doesn't have a hold of their own finances and their own budget, doesn't track their income and the expenses, and then they just decide, well, I'm going to invest in real estate, and then they don't have an emergency fund, they don't have reserves, they don't have like an idea of what it's actually going to take to time and money away from your household expenses, then I think you probably should start with the easier investing strategy.
Yeah, and I think that's to like Yasek's point, most people have a spending problem and they have a hard time saving up the money, right? So even that's why like the retirement accounts are so attractive, because you can just have them taken like, directly out of your paycheck and you don't even really see it, so you don't know it's there. And that's what makes it so simple. But yes, I want to start a daycare. I said that on the other live stream the other day. That's the biggest return, probably 2025.
I don't understand the daycare. What was going on with that?
Oh, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? I mean,
You can explain it, Mark.
Yeah, you can
Well,
I didn't know what they're talking about either.
come on, you guys. Well, anyway, so this YouTuber, Nick Shirley, who has a big following, did like a 42-minute video he posted on X, I believe his YouTube channel also, where it shows a lot of the possible fraud in Minnesota's daycare. That could be run by anyone, but just so happened the ones he represented was run by Somalians, showing that basically there was no kids there when he went to these locations, or there was no like improper signs, things like. So it almost looks as if there's fraud going on. But if you look back, I think there's actually been like news reports on this type of fraud since like 2015. So there's been fraud, and it was already brought into the news. So it's something that has been discussed. So it's not like a whole new event, but he just had a video showing that like, oh, he went to this daycare at this time, like the doors are all locked, there's no kids there. And then there's also pushback from the other side, like, oh, the times that you went, it was like Christmas break, or you went during like after hours when it was closed. And then some of the daycares are like, oh, you came with people that had hoods on, you looked angry. Why are we going to open our doors we don't know who you are, if there's kids in here, right? We're not going to just open the door for anyone. So there's pushback on both sides. But I think the bottom line is there has been fraud, because it's been in the news since like 2015, and people have been prosecuted for it. So it's not like there hasn't been fraud found. It's just people are in an uproar now because of the video. But I don't know if it's really anything new, like new events, because like I said, it's already been in the news from like 2015. But so that's kind of the whole thing. They're talking about billions of fraud in Minnesota for these daycare centers. So
meaning they're being state granted funded, or
yeah. So they're government funded, and they're showing like the paperwork. Oh, this daycare is supposed to have like 90 kids. They've been funded whatever 1.9 million the past year or something like 1.9 million. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just the fact that like I said, it's probably been around since 20 or longer, and if it's still continuing, it makes it even worse, right? So like if it has been addressed since 2015 and it still continues, then that's part of the problem, right?
Yeah, but fraud happens everywhere, not just in the daycare business. I believe, what was it? 2020 and 2021, there was all of these loans were given to small businesses at 0% interest, right? To help them through COVID times. And everybody was opening up, or like not everybody, but I know people that were opening up companies just to get access to this free interest money, right? For small businesses.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of fraud out there, and I think that's just why people are getting fed up, right? With they're always talking about raising taxes, and I think people are okay paying a certain amount of taxes if they knew that money was being allocated properly. But as we keep finding, how much debt and what the deficit is, people are getting tired of like, why am I going to keep giving money when it just seems like the same thing? We go back to investors, right? Or people wanting to invest, and this is a spending problem, right? and it's kind of like, why am I going to keep giving you money when it looks as if the money we're giving you isn't being used properly? And I
Wait, so
think,
you're starting a daycare now then?
no, I'm just
Oh,
joking. That's the best return on your money and your time, right? So then they're also trying to show other things like, oh, this person, this daycare operator, when he was doing his a news report or what, talking to they're like, oh, look at his glasses. His glasses are like $3,000 glasses. Like, who needs $3,000 prescription glasses? And they're like, oh, this person has, look at the ring is on this. So they're trying to nitpick on everything in these videos, right? They're breaking it down like, oh, look at these people stealing, embezzling money or stealing money, right? So it's wild times we're in.
Yeah, I think we still had a similar uproar with the issue with the, what is it, PPP loans, where people were essentially just like taking the money, but people went to jail for that, and people are also going to jail for what has been found out in Minnesota. I believe there were already people indicted before they before Nick's video even came out, but yeah, I mean, there's fraud everywhere. I'm really not surprised that something would be happening there too. It is what it is. People try to find ways to steal money from the system if they can.
This is an interesting question. What are some legitimate ways to be paid by the government?
Well, hey, I just got my first Section 8 check today.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's the first thought I had too.
Yeah. So with the Section 8 program, I think one thing that, well, one, the process it's not always super easy. Like, even if you think your apartment is like perfectly good to go, they'll always come in and find a few things that they want you to fix. Now, they might be minor, like mine was like, hey, you need to, this smoke detector is X years old. You need to put a new smoke detector in there or whatever. Or what was the other one? I believe I needed so previously it wouldn't have mattered if the electrical outlets were non-GFCI, because like in the kitchen, because that's how it was when I got the property. So from my understanding, that's grandfathered in, but they asked me to swap those out, and that was a pretty simple fix. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting that they didn't tell me until after the person had already moved in was that they will not pay the first month, like the government will not pay the first month until the following month. So you actually start out a month behind, but then they just give you 2 months on the first of the following month. So they can be a headache to deal with. And also, they didn't tell me how much of the person's rent they were paying before they moved in. And I had thought it was less than what the person's actually paying. And I was less comfortable with them living there, knowing how much more they were going to have to pay. Now, I sorted it out because I figured out her finances were like, she didn't even compute her finances correctly. I had to go through everything with her to find out how much she made. But, some of those things they could be more upfront with to make it easier.
So, Dylan, a question I've had about Section 8. Were you able to do like Dion talks about, where they come in, they do the inspection, say, hey, you need to like change your GFCI outlets and the other stuff you talked about. Are you able to talk to them and be like, hey, if I send you a picture or a photo or a video of these completed things, can we move forward, or do they have to come out and do another inspection?
Nope. So all I needed to do was take pictures that all of the items had been done. I sent them to them on a Friday, and the lady moved in on the following Monday. They didn't need to come back out.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So at least that part was easy. The people at the office have been relatively nice too. I will say, I've heard Dion say that you can negotiate with them and push them above FMR. I was told to the contrary by them, and I don't know if that's just something that I need to push back a little bit more on them with. But they were like, if you can't do like this amount, we literally can't even do it in the first place, because I initially started out like it was like $30 higher than their limit, because I also have to pay the electric and everything too. But I don't know, at the price point I got them at, it still works, but it would have been more beneficial if they were paying like $30 more per month. But I'm not gonna kill the learning experience over $30 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the situation I ran into in my market. I was trying to get one of them up for Section 8, and they came in at some lowball offer. They're like, and basically it was half a market rent almost. I was just like, I can rent this out for literally double of what you want to pay me. Well, that's just the best we can do. Yeah, but I'm also paying the most of the utilities on this place. Well, that's just the best we can do. I was like, well, then I'm not going with you guys because like I'm not. It doesn't even pay. It only pays for the utilities. It doesn't help with anything else. Like,
Well, that's what I thought was really interesting with working with them specifically is that they want the people living in the unit to get a rent that's equal to market, but they also want the utilities included in that. Well, sorry, they want a rent below market and they want the utilities included in that. So, I don't know. It's frustrating.
He's
Oh,
full guy.
Rusty, I think I'm pretty sure him and his wife Katie are going to be in Vegas. But he says, "Same, Dylan. My Section 8 tenant been there 20 years and can't come up to market rents. I gave them 6 months lease and then have to go."
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's a lot of all you can do. Like you can prove that all your rents are higher. I sent them what the actual FMR is, what the 2026 FMR is, and then also a rent study, and they still didn't want to go up $30. So I'm like, okay, you guys would displace somebody over $30, whatever. I'm just gonna let it slide so I can learn this. But
So I just want to say, I've had some questions here too. So, I think part of me feeling that real estate investing is dead is just bad. I wouldn't say bad investors, but bad investors are being exposed in a sense, right? So I think that's why even for newer investors, it's hard to get started in this current market, right? But even like you're seeing like a lot of people like Graham Stephan, not saying he's a bad investor, but people that are trying to exit or sell off their real estate, right? So for some people, it's just not worth the effort where they're getting other returns or the time that they have to put into it, or people that did buy poorly in the past 5 years, right? So now things are coming back. They didn't realize maybe their taxes were going to go up, right? Like if they're buying in Texas and they didn't realize how much their taxes would jump up. So if things were too slim on their underwriting, then now they're trying to figure out how to exit or how to fix things, right? So I think definitely it is challenging for a lot of people trying to look at real estate currently. Like if they were to jump in now, I mean, like you're just seeing a lot of people trying to sell, right? So I think it is hard for new people to take that leap, and that's why like this community and everyone sharing their journey is super helpful to get people started, though, if they really want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight that it is harder, like the conditions, but I also would think of it as a bigger system, like macroeconomics and microeconomics, right? Like we are subjected to what the economy does. In reality, even in your regular W-2, like if let's say the Bay Area lays off a bunch of people, some people in our area are going to be affected. Like I have engineering friends that were affected when they were doing layoffs, government shutdowns, contracts layoff earlier in the year, right? And that affected like that family member, but so much so like interest rates and like what the economy is doing right now, it does affect real estate, what's going on around you. So I guess like Super says, it comes in cycles. So different years will present different opportunities for you. I think there's been a massive switch into like higher cash flow kind of thing, like assets like co-living, like Airbnb, renting by the room and things like that. What the trend is being like, but just 2 years ago, it was syndications. Like everybody was operating a syndication. If you were to go to any real estate meetups whatsoever. And then BRRRRs were like 2020, 2021. It was like bread and butter. BRRRRs was like the thing to do. For this economy, what are you guys thinking the opportunities are?
I think this is going to range widely, actually, depending on each individual's market. Like, I think the only people, I don't think any of us are going to have the same answer. Because even like me and Mark, we're in the same market, but we invest differently. So I think each one of us is going to have a different answer on this one.
I'm thinking new builds, and I don't know about multifamily. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the mixed use and just other types of commercial space. I know flex has been really popular lately. That's the one everybody's been gravitating to. So I'd probably say not that one. If you see a type of real estate trending all the time, really popularly, generally all the I would say like alpha that you can get in that specific sector is just getting destroyed by everybody that's competing because they're willing to pay the highest prices possible. I think something that will never die though is just being able to get creative and find different ways to make more money out of properties, whether it's properties that you already have or properties that you're looking at. Are you, like in your instance, are you able, you didn't buy this house as an investment, did you, that you live in currently?
No.
But you were able to put an ADU on it, and it probably makes it significantly more valuable. And is there a possibility that you could even section off this ADU onto a different parcel and sell it separately?
No.
Oh, you can't do that. Okay. Well, I tried, but just
I
getting
think
creative.
there's something called tenants in common. It's called TIC, if I'm not mistaken. And it would be like a condo that I sell separately, but it would be like a condo thing. So I would still be owner somehow. Tenants in common. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just heard of people I don't know if it's California. I feel like I've heard of it in Washington where they'll have like something that used to be an ADU and they're just essentially getting the lots divided and selling off the ADU by itself.
Mm-hmm. There's a possibility of doing that same thing here as SB9 split, but then prior to that, you will have to split all the utilities. So sewage, different water, different electricity. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the chat a little bit, I did see that old guy REI threw in the chat. He said this kind of honesty helps others realize that they're not alone in questioning the path they're on. Yes. Also, I just like people actually hearing the truth, because if you hear stuff from, for example, Revature Consulting all the time that everything is doom and gloom, or you hear stuff from people that sell courses that everything is fantastic and you can make millions of dollars with zero money, like, yeah, it makes both sides of the spectrum just seem so crazy, and I feel like it confuses people and they don't know where to get started. Whereas if you're just able to like focus on doing your thing, find some people doing that thing that can be honest with you, it makes it easier to push forward because everything doesn't seem impossible.
I want to touch on what Trade Better asked. What are your thoughts on small run-home healthcare businesses? And I'm not an entrepreneur. I've seen a lot of people that do this successfully, like running not residential assisted facilities, but a small, what are they called? RIFs, I think they're called, which you can have like up to 8 patients or 8 people that need assisted living necessities in one home. And they're not subjected to the same thing as assisted living's qualifications would need to be, but I've seen the potential on this. Personally, I think it's too much work for this squeeze. Yes, you can. I believe one of the people that I know said they get $3,000 on net profit per person that they house, and they house 8 people, which sounds profitable. But it is a 24-hour business, because you are housing people that need, like, let's say, memory care, or they need constant medication appointment, and they might need people that wander off, and then other things like that. So I think it's a lot of work, but there's residential care facilities that go and like get nurses from overseas and bring them over here, and then pay them, sponsor the visas, and then pay them significantly less that you would pay somebody here. So there is a lot of ways of maximizing the profits and the business. But personally, I wouldn't touch the model.
You know that Aaron does that, right? Like that Aaron Amin.
Aaron does it to a higher quality. I'm talking about a lower quality of residential assisted living.
Well, no, so that's what he's doing. That's what the project now is. But his first one, he had like a house, that basically was converted into what you're saying. So like they had 24-hour care. So it
Mhm.
wasn't, so like he's saying, it's not really, it's 24/7, but they were like not involved at all, right? You basically have an actual manager and um, nurses there. So I mean, it is, I would say on the risk side, it's probably a little bit higher too, because now you're dealing with
My understanding is he was owner of the house, but the business leased the house from him.
yeah.
He oversaw the operations of the business, but he wasn't involved in the business. He was just getting a higher rent because he was renting to the business that would have residential care facility in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Once
can
you
work.
Yeah, that's hands off. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I
You
know
have
me
to
and Cynthia.
Yeah, you had to agree to so many modifications in the house too, for that particular thing. Yeah.
I know me and Cynthia were talking about doing something like that because she's very much involved in taking care of the elderly and stuff in her current role, and she likes that aspect of it. So that was something in real estate that kind of caught her attention, and she was wondering how we could maybe put something together. And I told her that we should probably try and talk to Aaron when we're out in Vegas,
Hmm.
I like Rusty's
especially
comment. Where did he put it? He said he just feels like a house collector at this point. Yeah, have some hope in him that someday they will be profitable.
Oh my. You know, for better or worse, I feel like that's how it can feel, especially if they're some of them are anchors now and again.
Well,
You know,
see,
because
so that's kind of where my thought process is coming. Where people that get started, if they're not around other people that are doing it right, they don't realize that, yeah, you're probably not very profitable those first few years, or you're stabilizing, right? So it's like you get in and it's like, everyone else seems to be succeeding. What am I doing wrong? So it's easy to exit, right? And you're seeing what the stock market is doing and Bitcoin is doing, so it's like, oh, I might as well just dump my money there. But if you're around like people in this community, then everyone is like, oh no, don't worry. Like the first few years, yeah, you kind of stable at that. Like Frank's post, right? Cash flow is not truly cash flow. It's not consistent, right? So some months you're making cash flow, the next month maybe it's going to expenses, and it kind of fluctuates in the beginning. But then after 5-7 years, and you start really noticing, okay, this thing is like, now it's really working, right? Everything is running full cylinders. But that's, I think, the struggle is people that aren't around other people like talking about it. You're looking around like, oh, all these people on social media saying they're doing this, and they're getting 20% return, and then it's just
they're
like,
getting
oh, why?
Lamborghinis.
Yeah, like why is my property not producing, right?
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
I'm not sure this is a question for all of us or for one person specifically.
I can't quite read the whole thing.
It says, I have a serious question for the first time. How long will it take you to find a property that will make sense? Like, I'm guessing as a first time buyer.
Yeah, I would answer it that way because, like, for us now, with all of us having experience, I mean, we could look in a market, or I should say, we can look in our markets and find something within 5 minutes if there is something, especially since we look at stuff every day. So
Yeah.
let's take it as we're first time learning the market.
It took me, I went under, I started looking like once I saved up enough money to get my first one, and it took me like 2 months to find the first property I got under contract on, and then I dropped out of contract because it was way more reno than I expected after I got the inspection report back, because I just never seen anything like that before. Then it took me another 5 months to actually find something to buy. So 8 months the first time. I don't want to tell everybody to do that because you could probably get something in 90 days if you're actually serious about it. But I was working full time and then also looking for properties. Like, I mean, all of us are working full time though and looking for properties. Besides Mark, he's retired now.
I'm not retired. I'm on workers' comp is what I am.
Retired.
I didn't know Rusty is still trying to. Katie still needs a little more convincing. He said he still has to prove to my wife this is still a good idea.
I think 90 days is a good benchmark because what I did, and I really like this and what I did, is it's the only thing I didn't screw up in the beginning, trying to find a buy box, is I studied the market for 30 days and I looked at the past 60 days, seeing how things sold, what I wanted, all that kind of stuff. I ran the numbers on multiple different styles of units and all of that type of stuff. And so I had 90 days worth of info and I studied it for like 90 days. But honestly, for me to actually pull the trigger, my first unit, it took about 2 years for me to find a good deal in the market because I refined my search down so much that I restricted myself way too much.
I think researching was like a 6-month process, like reading the books, building up the courage, and blah blah. But after narrowing down like the city of Hammond and single family, and then all of those things, like from putting up offers, I would say a couple months. But I also think that I made it significantly easier for me, not a headache. So I didn't take any projects, not renovation whatsoever, not even painting the walls. Everything's rental ready. Roof was, fairly new. Furnace was not old. Water heater was not like working. Everything it had a garage. Like there was no repairs that needed to be done. So also I made it like super clean cut, as turnkey as I could possibly get. So it would have been an easier stage to like acquire, I guess.
What about you, Mark?
I think it just depends on your personality, right? I think some people are able to jump in quicker. Some people need a little more proof of concept. So you just really got to understand yourself. But I think it's the biggest thing is, finding these communities, right? We always talk about it, and being around people, that are gonna kind of point things out. And definitely, I think you've all touched on a little bit, is kind of focusing on one strategy or whatever you have some focus on what your strategy is going to be. I wouldn't probably do Airbnb right off the bat, but some people may want to, but really hone in on that. If that's the thing you want to do, really focus on that. But I think it's just picking what strategy works for you, and then just really being around the right people. And you got to be comfortable for the most part, right? I mean, I know it frustrates me sometimes when I talk to people and they're still analyzing things, but I always try to remind myself not everyone has the same maybe demeanor as me and just going to jump in on it. So some people, it is a lot more challenging, but yeah, just got to be around the right people, and sooner or later it gets easier, but you also got to realize you're never going to know 100%, right? Like they talk about, by the time 100%, probably someone bought that deal already, right? So you have to have maybe 80%, get comfortable at 80%, and then you got to sometimes leap of faith a little bit, right?
The grumpy contractor saying that this is the only time that works for Dylan, Jack, and I. So you have to give us credit for coming on some things. Also, I think we convinced Frank to sell everything and buy Bitcoin.
Well, here was a question. I don't know where I saw it, but let's say, would you want a $1 million home, I guess paid off, I'm assuming, $1 million home, $1 million in Bitcoin, or $1 million in cash, right? So what would be the one that you would, I guess, take if that was your payment? I guess if you won some prize, I guess, and they're offering these 3 forms of payment, which one would you choose, though?
So here's my answer, because my first jerk answer was cash, but now I'm kind of thinking about it for a second, and I think I would do the Bitcoin, even though I'm not a Bitcoin person, and I would talk to Mark. You have to help me with his name, Nick.
Coach Nick, yeah,
Coach Nick, and I would do his strategy, and I think I would take the proceeds and buy real estate.
I think the initial jerk reaction was cash too, but then I was like, taxes, that's 40% off the top.
That's what killed it for me. Yeah.
And then I went to like house, and then you just take out the equity on the house, like 750,000 tax free, and you get $1 million house, and then you can deploy that in investments or like put that on.
Well, I think there was more like let's say you inherited them each, and there was no tax penalty for each one, unless you like let's say you sold the Bitcoin, then you'd have taxes for it, right? Or if you sold it, then there was taxes. So let's just say not 40% off the top of the cash. So you just was given this asset with no tax penalty up front, right?
Then I will switch my answer to cash.
Yeah.
If you sell the house, you have to pay.
And then there's more logistics, right? Like you're saying, if you did want to sell the house, or it may not be in a location, all these type of things. So it was weird. We all talk about cash being trash to some extent, right? But then if it was presented, it's like, man, you think about it, actually cash gives me a lot of options, right? And then I can allocate it properly or the way I want to do it. But and that's kind of I think why some people look at real estate. They see the struggles with it because there's a lot of, yes, it's a asset that you can touch, which makes it great, but at the same time, it's not very liquid, right? And to some extent, and so it was interesting when I saw that. I think it was on X. I saw that post, and it kind of like, I never thought about it. Like usually you think, oh yeah, I'm going to take real estate or I'm going to take something else, but then you're like, the other ones all have these other challenges to them.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to each of them. It's just which ones do you kind of feel like dealing with, and that's why I chose Bitcoin, because I was thinking to myself, it's kind of if the, like for example, if the S&P was an option, that would be the strategy I would probably end up picking, just because I'm more familiar with stocks. I was doing stocks before real estate, but Bitcoin, doing it the way that Coach Nick does, is almost the same strategy that I would do with stocks. So that's why I chose Bitcoin in that one.
I guess I'm going to have to see what this guy does. But I think the better question there is the house or the BTC, because cash is just transferable into anything. So it's kind of a cop-out answer if you just say cash, in my opinion. But in that...
I'm taking cash then.
If I had the choice between the house and the Bitcoin, I'd probably choose the Bitcoin and then just put it in something like Lava, or find out whatever Nick's doing. Lava is really cool because you can take loans against it.
I don't know if I'm like older that I cannot get behind Bitcoin as an asset class. Like I understand the whole concept of currency, that you cannot be tracked and that you can leverage however you want and everything, but it is not backed by anything but the technology in itself, and I just can't get behind that. Like everybody has to be in agreement that this is going to be the current currency, not just like here locally and United States, but globally, right? And it's been some attention too, but it's still not currency. It's still not like accepted everywhere. So for me to have that type of volatility, it's just a made up money, even though the dollar is also a made up money, but the dollar is also very much acknowledged anywhere on the world.
Well, here's the thing too, okay? And this is why I agree with Lynn. So Ryan All-Nighter Hider, he was talking about, I think he was saying he was following someone who travels different parts of the world once a year and stuff. And they make a part of the challenge is they'll stick with one currency for the entire trip. And so like 1 year they would do gold, 1 year they'll do silver, 1 year they use just Bitcoin, and 1 year they use like the American dollar. And he said the hardest one to use is Bitcoin, because like these other countries they're not necessarily developed enough to have the infrastructure. Like they say, oh, it's a Bitcoin ATM, and you go there and they're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So, but what they do want typically is either the US dollar or gold, and not even like expensive gold. Like they want like jewelry gold.
Yeah, I think I'm not like a huge Bitcoiner either. I have like $500 in it because that's the amount I had to put in to actually check it every few weeks to see what's going on. But the argument that I would have pro, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin, but like any other currency like that, is it's a currency that not one government controls, that's easily transferable between people, and nobody can print it. So there's a finite amount. And if it can be used globally, not one country controls it. Think of like what happened to the Russians when we cut Russia off and the value of the rubles went down dramatically. If they were, if everything they were doing was in Bitcoin or some other currency like that, they wouldn't have had such a bad drop in the value of their money. And I look at stuff like that, like if we were to put restrictions on different countries, what happens to currencies? But if we have a global currency, nobody can touch it. Nobody can control it either.
No, I
That's
agree. It's a cool concept. If everybody adopts it, it will be like unlimited, right? Like it will be off the people, really. But even the United States here, like, prior to like 2020, we were not paying capital gains for Bitcoin. Now we are. Like if you're reporting it,
maybe you are.
if you're using any of the blockchain websites, they make you now report it at 1099. So I don't know what other Bitcoin.
I'm just kidding.
Like,
I just see Bitcoin as a way to make money. So if it can make me money, it's something I'll look into. But I think it gives people hope. I honestly think it is hope for a lot of people. They see other assets and they may feel it's rigged or whatnot, and they look at Bitcoin as their only option. And I think it provides a lot of people hope, right? And it could be false hope, but if it provides
a level above gambling.
yeah, I mean, it is for a lot of people, right? But for some people, that is their that they see it as their only way out to some extent, and whether that's right or wrong, I mean, for me, and I think that's where a lot of these people that spoke poorly of Bitcoin in the beginning, like Kiyosaki, and there's a lot of them that, oh, this is nothing, it's never going to be worth anything, and then now they're all investing in it. But I just think that they see where money's going and they see a certain return, and I think that's just the way you got to look at it, right? And you're not going to put all your wealth in it, but if you can make money on it, I mean, I don't see why not. To learn a little bit about it and how you can benefit. But I think it just provides people some hope when they look at it, right? They look at it and like, I can't buy a home, I can't do this, and this, this is getting these type of returns. This is my only option, right? So.
But with the same logic, what's the stopping people from putting money on Dogecoin or the new Dogecoin?
People do, right? I mean, I think people still do, right? So they find that hope. So it's I'm sure there's a lot of people still dumping money in those meme coins and everything else, right? So yeah.
I mean, don't dump money on a meme coin and tell me that's an investment. I wouldn't agree with that.
Wait, what was that? Sorry, I was reading the chat.
I mean, if you're putting all your money into a meme coin and you're calling me you're investing, I wouldn't agree with that statement. I wouldn't call that an investment.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but I think people do, right? I mean, that's like I said, that's their hope, right? I mean, most of us probably wouldn't agree with it or wouldn't advise them to do that, but for some people, I mean, that's the same thing, right? It's their lottery ticket, right? It's like them buying their how many lottery tickets are sold every year, right? So I think that's a lot of people, they look at it that way, right?
Just to go back to what Richard was saying earlier. Rusty. Sorry. One way of just like showing some more of the benefits of real estate could be showing her like the principal pay down and stuff like that, because the first few years it's not insane, but if you've got 7 properties and it's like $200 a month, that's already like $1,400 a month plus whatever the cash flow is, plus depreciation and appreciation factors. So, I mean, even where you're at now, which is more properties than I own, it still should be like there should be meaningful amounts that you can look at in both principal pay down and otherwise. So just wanted to throw that one out there to you. That might be interesting to look at.
More if Lynn's plan is to stay in California, though. You know, since you're on the path to being a billionaire, and they're going to do a billionaire wealth tax, you're going to exit California.
Yeah, I'm fixated on not buying any more properties right now, but I'm also getting fixated on adding another ADO to my property. So I don't know, but now it's gonna look like a Frankenstein kind of house, and I don't know if that in turn will become like a point of not being able to resell this house. But then I'm also thinking, would I ever resell this house? I don't know. I don't know.
So
Units in one single land lot. Would you foresee problems selling that house in the future if I have to?
Three units on a lot in Cal. Are you in a like a really good area?
Yeah, I'm in a suburban area of Los Angeles.
And when you say it's going to make it look like a monster house, these are actual separate parcels, right? Or not parcels, sorry, separate buildings. They're not all like
The
conjoined.
third one would be attached to the main house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that as much. I liked when they were all separate buildings. I mean, you can do what you want.
Of course I can.
But are you going to stay in California?
Oh, the question is, I don't see a way of leaving California permanently. I do want to travel. I do want to live in other countries, but I think I will have always like a house in California, but not fully permanently leave. I do play.
Will your residency be in California?
Most likely.
Really?
Not Puerto Rico?
Face.
No, I mean like, well, what?
Really?
So like, why would you keep your residency there?
You mean
you keep your home there? Yeah.
Tax-wise? Oh, does it make sense to live in California tax-wise? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm going to be a big millionaire people that I'm going to really have to tax advantage every single thing that my income applies for. Like I'm not gonna. How much is Subaru worth? Like $200 million more, maybe more. I don't know. I don't like it would make sense if you're worth $200 million and you make $2 million from rental income, that you want to maximize how much rental income you're getting by moving to a state that has no state income tax. Like I understand that, but I don't think my goal is to be as big as Subaru. And I think fine with all of the tax advantages that we get from real estate to be living still in California. But who knows? I reserve the right to change my mind. Why you just think you're gonna leave Hawaii?
Oh yeah, ridiculous here. We're gonna have a green. What are we? Green climate tax we're having. We're like the first place to implement that. But it's
Mark,
it's not a tax on us. It's a tax on the visitors. So the people that are visiting are now going to have to pay. I don't know exactly how it is, but it's going to be a tax on basically visitors because you're using our resources to some extent, or polluting our climate so you're going to pay higher taxes or whatever you're purchasing, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, but interchanging on that, I was speaking with Brano the other day, and he was living in Texas. He's living in Texas, right? Not the income tax, but his property taxes way more than take over what the state income tax in California would be. Like, I don't. It's almost the same as different exchanges.
I think another thing to consider is what kind of taxes are you going to be paying. Like, are you going to still be having to pay taxes in the state that all of your properties are in, or what kind of taxes? Because I know you will at least pay property taxes. Like I know, for example, one thing that was really popular when I was in the agency space is people would move to Puerto Rico, because if you have an online business that's ran from Puerto Rico, you pay like 0% capital gains and 4% income taxes or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But we never did that because, well, one, it sounds like this is your opinion too. If you make a lot of money and like, it doesn't, like, just enjoy where you want to live, and the taxes are part of that. Like, we don't have to optimize everything. So if we pay 20% instead of 4%, it is what it is. You know, we're still paying less than people that are actually working on the rentals and stuff. You know?
Like Dion said, he lives in Washington and he hasn't paid taxes in how many years at all? I think the only taxes he pays is on YouTube views, like YouTube videos, views. Like,
Oh,
why can't we, because he has so much depreciation from all of the houses that he doesn't pay anything yearly. So, I mean, really, do I need to move? Does he need to move?
and that's another really good point. Now, I don't know how he's doing that. I guess I would have to figure out, like, with an accountant or something like that, like how something like that could be done. Because from my understanding, you have a maximum write-offs if you're fully employed somewhere else of like $25,000 a year, and that starts to phase out after you make 100K. So if in that's active versus passive income, like you can't take passive losses and put them on your active income. So I don't know. I don't know how he's doing that unless he's got real estate professional status. Because
No,
from what
I
I
think he doesn't have any active income right
Yeah.
now.
He only lives purely off the cash flow.
So does he not need real estate professional status to take all those losses then?
No, it's all on the passive side, because so he has no active income. So I think that even when he says it, he always says, "I've never paid taxes on my rental income."
Yeah.
I believe is what he says. So he doesn't say, "I've never paid taxes on income." I think the way he says it is, I've never paid taxes on my real estate or my rental income or something to that extent.
No, that makes sense. Okay, I was thinking that everything wrapped together, he was paying no taxes without real estate professional status, and at least from the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say a play on words. I think it's just the way he presents it. So.
Yes. Oh, looking forward to the day that you have to actually write a check to the government.
I write checks every year, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't look forward
I don't
to that
look
at
forward
all.
to that.
Yeah, when you have to write a multi-5-figure check to the government, it's never awesome.
Well, I got about 10 minutes left. So, Jack, you had some questions, I think?
Yeah, so I figured we would end things, just go one time around with everyone. What steps are you taking to achieve your goals in 2026 currently?
Going to the Vegas event.
Retiring.
Yeah, mine is more focused. I gotta just get some things in order before I actually leave. Like, I gotta clear some things up. I don't know how the whole process works. That's why for the workers' comp, and if I do retire, and if I do look into medical stuff like that, I don't know that whole process. I gotta just navigate that side of things. That's more what I gotta focus on. I'll probably wait till I get back from the event, though.
That's it. No. Since I've been holding off on like housing, right? Like I stopped buying. So I'm gonna be trying to optimize my portfolio, getting those like last 3 units rented, and obviously going to the ORAD conference in February. But like personal life, moving things into my private practice, and those come with 1,000 steps, as well as working more on my health. So we're doing dry January, no alcohol January. And then we have a hold pull up, one pull up for 2026. I should be able to do by the end of the year.
Nice.
That's awesome. I am working on really hyper focusing on like specific languages as an engineer, just so I can become as good as possible. Because that's how you get paid a lot more in engineering. It seems like the lower level you go, a lot of the time it gets better and better. So just trying to become an expert in that, and then kind of like what you were saying, health wise, I haven't done dry January. In fact, I already failed if I were doing that. But I've been trying to do 3 days in the gym per week, and then 1 cardio day. And I also have like the auto order on protein shakes, and I'm trying to drink 2 per day because I noticed I wasn't getting enough protein. So even though I was going and lifting before, I just wasn't growing as much. So I'm just slamming protein shakes and protein right now.
Yeah, Yasik said go for 5 pull-ups.
Yeah, you got this. 1, you can do 5. Start with the lat pull down, and then do the assisted pull-ups.
Set for 5.
Yeah, my whole feed on Instagram right now is like doing pull-ups because I've been talking about it so much. So we'll see.
Well, good luck to you on that.
Jack, what's yours?
I'm currently working. I'm studying to get my GC license and getting started on a. Well, I shouldn't say getting started. I'm going to finish the renovation project that I've been prolonging and not wanting to do, but getting that finished, buttoned down, that unit rented out, and seeing you guys in Vegas.
That's awesome, GC license. I want to do that in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. I was hesitant on doing it at first, but I just feel like it's the most practical next step.
And then you're going to convince Mikey to move to Pittsburgh? Is that part of 2026 plans?
No, I'm working on that for 2027. I can't handle too much after eating that potato on January 1st.
Are you making another in-person meetup event in Pittsburgh? Is that the plan also?
I believe we are. I just don't know. I just haven't figured out when. Everyone keeps wanting to see it Pittsburgh in the winter. I'm just like, and I keep thinking to myself, there's nothing really to see. I mean, it's not that horrible of a city when it comes to weather, and a lot of the stuff that they want to do, and as far as the Pittsburgh thing the event goes, I was like, you can't do most of it in the winter. Like, you're not going to want to go out and walk the streets and when it's 20 degrees outside.
Oh, watch out, Jack. Yasik is going to do monthly check-ins on your progress, he said.
Let's go. Jessica is trying to go to Pittsburgh in a couple weeks, so you guys may have a small meetup.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You know, are you going to the Gary meetup, Lynn, or just outside of Gary?
Well, I can't travel unless I have travel points, so no points right now.
Yeah, that he's being banned from in-person events. Well, we'll see if he gets arrested in Vegas or causes any trouble.
Arrested? Who's arrested? Wow. I'm scared now.
Brady says Dylan sounds like him 15 years ago. Oh, protein shakes. Yeah, so Brady's coming out with a book. He says it's a real estate investing kind of, I guess, method that no one really talks about. So he has a
He's
YouTube
a builder,
channel.
right?
Yeah. So he has so go follow him on YouTube. I don't have his channel linked here. Or Brady, if you're here, you can put your channel in the chat.
Shoot me a message on the gram.
Vegas is not trouble, Brady. I mean, it can be, but for the event, is people just pretty much hanging out together. So, Brady, I'm going to convince you to come to Vegas for the event.
I will say, there's nobody gambling.
Yeah.
I want somebody to go hardcore. I want to be there to watch it, but like not do it myself. You know what I mean?
Doesn't Dion gamble? Like, I think Dion.
Yeah, some people gamble, but they kind of go on their own time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Yasik, knock it off. So there's Brady's YouTube channel, everyone. So if you can go jump over there also. But Carrie's here, Charles's wife. But so there's a Gary meetup. I think it's January, I forget, maybe 17th, 18th. Hyder posted it in school. I'll go look for it. Or tell your husband go do something and stop goofing around. But
Ian can go. He's close by.
yeah.
I could. It's like a 2.5 hour. Are they doing it in Maryville again?
It just says just outside. So I was joking about that. It says just outside of Gary, so people can feel safe to go check it
Could
out.
we do Chicago then?
You should convince him.
No. I do think though, Mark, the Gary Grizzlies is a pretty good name that they could change it to.
No, they can just have another team there. They just can start. Once they win the Super Bowl this year, they're not moving. They're going to stay where they're at.
How likely is that they win the Super Bowl? Like, when was the last time they won?
Well, they're in the play. They're guaranteeing the playoffs, so they're playing today for seeding. So right now they could be the number 2 or number 3 seed in the NFC. So they're in the playoffs for sure. But as far as they're probably, I mean, honestly, this year everyone is kind of hit or miss. There's not one team. I don't know. I guess Seattle could be technically the best team, but everyone kind of just beats up everyone. Everyone is winning ugly, I guess is what you would call it. So no one kind of just stands out as this one team that just dominates this year. So it's up in the air, but
I'm just excited for the halftime show. That's all.
Yeah, Brady. Yeah, so Brady's gonna come out with a book, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't got anything, Jack. You guys, it's your guys' show, so.
No, I think we're at a good point. We'll go ahead and wrap things up.
Yeah, we'll see each other next week, hopefully at the same time.